We can go right to a conclusion and share it with you. Zach, so good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yes.
It's going good.
It's going good. Good in the NorCal, right?
Good in NorCal. Weather's cooling down. I'm happy about that.
Yes. Why don't you share with our potential audience what you do here in the NorCal?
I work with individuals with intellectual disabilities. Work at a day program. I run a laser engraving T-shirt and kind of a small wood fabrication shop.
Interesting. So to sum it up, you're providing opportunity to those with disabilities, kind of give them some work ethics in the community?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're able to come to work. They're able to learn a small trade or just some skills simply to move forward, and hopefully that registers in their mind to, hey, let's go and let's start it. Driver's licenses, apartments, and just kind of get out in the real world. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how does technology interact with your field?
Slowly and surely, a little more and more every day, down to graphics designing, teaching them what I know about graphics design. Sometimes they actually teach me.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yes,
really? They're teaching you
some of the
graphics.
Yes, some of the guys definitely teach us some pretty cool things.
That's cool. So when it comes down to graphic design, what is your app selection? Like, I'm sure you're using some app suite to do graphic design. Is it like Adobe?
Definitely CorelDRAW.
CorelDRAW,
Yes. CorelDRAW, SureCuts for a lot of we do stickers as well. So we do, CorelDRAW and then SureCuts. Yeah.
Any formal training on this?
No, actually it was pretty much all hands on, and then no one kind of chucked me in there. And so that's what happened with that. And I just kind of started picking up things slowly but surely. Still learning a lot.
That's interesting. Do you think it would have been beneficial to have a tech mentor while you were ramping up with those services?
Yeah, absolutely. To have someone there by your side showing you, hey, this is how you do this. This is what you don't do. This is what you... Absolutely. Do I think it's beneficial that you learn things by yourself and make the mistakes? I think that's good too, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Hands-on training is always preferred, but it's nice to have a handhold, right? Somebody you can have your hand kind of guided through the process.
Surely to blame the things on if something goes bad.
That's awesome. I bet when there's stressful times, like maybe you get a new design that comes in and you're like, how do I do this? I bet it's those moments, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the times, honestly, I have a graphics guy that he's not even a graphics guy. He didn't take any, he just kind of floated over to the shop from the other program and I was like, hey, this is kind of what I need out of an employee, to work here. And he's like, oh yeah, I can do some of that stuff. And then he's just kind of been picking up. He's been really awesome. So, I think he's learning a lot every day too. And so when he thinks he can't do something, I kind of step in there and go, well, no, I think we can, even though I don't know what the heck I'm talking about sometimes. And it kind of pushes him to figure out what that is, and it just kind of work as a team.
That's awesome, because together you're learning better, right? Like every time you solve a problem, that's like a one-up for your team.
Yeah, exactly. And don't let it defeat you. That kind of thing, because you have to push forward.
Yes. So when you think of tech, what comes across your mind when it comes to technology?
Vast change, things that that it's so different and that you feel like it's out of your reach to touch, to know, to get a hold of. That's what I think about technology.
So is it safe to say it kind of scares you?
In a way, in a big way, because I know that that's where the world is going regardless, and that we are going to be forced to know these things in the future, and it's blatantly right in front of us. There's no way you could deny it. It's there. It's here. It is here. So,
yeah. So when you think of a shift in technology that kind of was scary, what was the most recent experience that you had where you were actually scared of the technology and then you've seen the outcome?
I would say being around you a lot of the times, just seeing the things that you've created, apps that you've created, how much work that you've went through and sweated and blood, sweat, and tears, and just kind of seeing the outcome and then been so excited about.
So you're looking through the lens from my progress.
Right. Well, yeah, it's because I don't understand, honestly, what you're showing me a lot of the times. And it's not that that scares me. It's just the fact that it's that much of a different world, to where I'm the guy that likes to go outside. I like to go fishing. I like the simpler things. But it doesn't matter what I think or what I go out and do. The technology's here. It's even into the outdoorsy stuff now. It's huge in outdoorsy stuff, down through people going overlanding or people fishing. Their boats are driving to them now to the docks, and so it's getting into every aspect. So it's
That's very interesting. When you go down the topic of an autonomous driving boat, you can almost visualize that boat coming to you and that cool factor, right? Like how cool it is. You can show off that boat. Like I can see you having buddies come over and you just can't wait to pull the trigger and have that boat come to you.
I would drive them down to the dock just to show the boat come to me. Like,
exactly.
Watch this. And we wouldn't have to go fishing. I'd be like, all right, let's go back home. I just want to show you that. I think that's really cool.
Exactly. And it's funny because that's happening right now with Tesla, right? Like these cars are now in the parking lot, and you can go ahead and press a button, and it's actually called Come to Me. And the car now will drive through the parking lot and come to you. So it's happening right now in the automotive world. We already know it's transitioning to the boat world. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little scary when you think of the liability of an autonomous driving vehicle. What if it hits something? How do you handle that? Like, should you be fully liable for a technology that's supposed to assist and fully self-drive?
Well, if that's what their selling point is, if that's what they're selling you and they're telling you that it's full autonomous driving and they're promising you a safe ride, well, then absolutely, I do think so. You're putting your family in there. If it was down to, Tesla, Chevy, if they did that to boats, could you imagine putting your family in a boat and then going across lake and it smacks into an island or another person in a boat that hurts their family? I mean, so those kinds of things. Yeah, absolutely. I think you should be held liable. Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the company should be held liable that created the technology.
Yeah, in that sense, they're making a guarantee to you that you're going to be safe. So I mean.
I see that's where it gets conflicting because the truth is it's on you, right? So as you know, I have a Tesla, and when I press that button, if my car hits another car, I'm not even in the car, right? Like I didn't do anything other than press a button and expecting the car to come to me.
Is that on the sticker window when you buy the Tesla?
No.
Drive at your own risk?
No. Pretty much. Like they label it beta testing, right? So it's not a final release. You get this update and it's a beta feature. Because they know there's liability involved, and regulators are trying to understand the space, adapt, because regulators are slow to adapt new technology. Mm-hmm. After all, technology advances far faster than regulations do. So they're trying to safeguard as much as they can. But in the meantime, when it comes to consumers that are investing in this technology, all the risk is on the consumer. So not only are you paying a higher price to gain access to this technology, but you also take the bulk of the responsibility in regards to liability that comes with that technology. So in the instance that you have this boat, right? Because you've already seen it. You showed me that trolling motor that you can add on to your boat, and with GPS, it navigates around and goes to your favorite fishing spots.
Yeah, you can let the boat out generally. I'm not sure exactly how. I watched the commercial. I thought it was amazing because I was like, everybody that goes fishing by themselves, a guy, especially I love bass fishing. So, I mean, you can let your boat out. Now you don't have to have your buddy with you. You're like, well, whatever, I'll go fishing by myself. You let your boat out. It stays right there. You can and it'll go out 30 feet. And then when you come back down, I think what the guy did was he pushed a button and the boat came back. So I definitely see, and I do get the whole liability thing. I mean, how could you ever charge a robot with a crime? We can always blame the human.
For sure.
I mean,
it's easy. It's the easiest route to go, especially when it comes to a liability standpoint, right? Like lawsuits go, let's keep it in the same county. Let's take it to the local court.
Yeah.
I can see more of this floating to the top and becoming a bigger issue. But what I'm concerned on is that moment that there's a real serious accident. Like you mentioned, there's a family in the boat, they tip over, a child dies, heaven forbid. And God, I hope that never happens, right?
Right.
But let's just imagine that the worst outcome just occurred. That liability is now on the owner. The owner was just trying to have the boat come to them, and a family just encounter a death, right? and they might be related, but a lawsuit floats to the top. Not only that, what about the potential marks on your record from the insurance agency? Not only are you at risk with liability, like your assets are on the line, but also your record. So when you need to get insured again, you're being penalized because you used technology that you thought was safe enough to utilize.
So like you were just kind of saying, it's a funny point, but I'm not a technological guy at all. I don't know anything like you're saying. But I think that no matter what, we're going to have to go through these trials and tribulations with robots until they work out all the niche, until things are perfect. That's just the kinds of things that are probably going to end up happening and have happened.
Mm-hmm. I think of vending machines. I think of the simplest technology. Go back to vending machines, right? You put $1 in there, you get a Coke.
Right.
Like, I'm sure, like if we were to look in history on the history of vending machines, I'm sure there was some problems, right? Where the vending machine just started spitting out 3 Cokes versus 1.
Yeah, or the flip phone. We don't have to close our phone to shut it off. Wait, we'll just make a straight phone that's touch the screen on.
That's right.
Simple things like that.
So we're witnessing some unique times here with automation, robotics. But what we have experienced already is major shifts in technology that completely changed our daily life. The most recent example is the adoption of mobile phones, right? We have fast internet connectivity. Now, countries literally get to leapfrog technology and adapt to the new trends with the mobile revolution. Now they have access to internet. They have these mobile devices. They get to interact on the global, within the global communities and actually transact, right? They get to do transactions.
Yeah, I do think that's really great because a lot of the countries that are controlled by media and the things that you are allowed to see and what they want you to see. Now you're just they are opened up to a little bit of everything, and they don't really get that choice. The person gets the choice as the human. So I think that's really great. I mean, that's the power of the internet, right? I mean, who doesn't love? I mean, yeah, I love the internet for certain things. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. But 5 years ago, you didn't. Like you barely can even have a smartphone on.
Oh, 5 years ago, I mean, I didn't even really have a phone.
Exactly.
I did like the fact of not having a phone for such a long time. I didn't feel disconnected. Actually, I felt more connected with myself. But then again, you know, as we, of course, get a little bit older and you start playing the job role and you get up and up and up, that's just kind of our daily requirement now. I mean, you can't really... there's no hiding at this point. I mean,
you're referencing to being tech savvy, like
not even referencing to being tech savvy. I'm just talking about having a phone in general.
Oh.
I mean, you're. I'm not saying you're forced, but if you want to be a part, have a job, be successful. I mean, you're gonna have some part of technology, and it doesn't really matter how much you try to hide from it. You're gonna have some of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's here. And when I was referencing to about being tech savvy, to me, employers now require to be tech savvy. You got to be comfortable with the keyboard and a mouse. You got to understand what you're doing in regards to interaction with the computer system. You need to know that there are security policies in place with the employer. You got to be at least aware of them, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's hard today to gain employment without having tech skills. And to me, being tech savvy now is a requirement. Like, there's different levels, of course, of being tech savvy. Like the adoption of the mobile phone, having that device, being able to use it efficiently, especially when it comes to communications professionally, it's almost now required. I just don't see many jobs out there that don't allow you to work in an environment without tech skills. I mean, let's think about that. Like, what jobs can you think of that you would not utilize tech skills?
I guess in some sort of healthcare, but healthcare has so much technology, it's ridiculous. I'm talking about in-home healthcares, and that's a really good question. I can't think of one.
I know it's hard because when you mention health field, instantly I just thought of all the information systems intertwined there. Like everything's connected.
The general gas station attendant.
Yeah, you got to press a button, right? You got to press the right one.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be some jobs like possibly Caltrans.
I mean, McDonald's in LA is ran completely off robots. I mean, multiple, not just LA, but I walked into a McDonald's and there was one guy working in it.
And what was that experience like for you?
It was weird because the guy takes the order and you pull up and he hands you the food, but you look inside there and it's just him standing, but you can see all the technology in there. He's just in there maintaining the robots to make you your burger.
That's so surreal.
Mind-boggling. And I guess that takes out the human error of maybe fondling with your food or doing something weird. You know what I mean? So I guess that's a good thing.
I got to be honest. I know a lot of people are against automation because they're at fear of job loss. And I get that, right? Like, that's a real issue. We need employment. Humans need to remain busy because not everybody's creative. Humans go practically crazy if they don't have something to do. And it takes creativity to keep yourself busy. So if you're an individual that lacks creativity, well, then you need a job, right? Or you're going to create your own job because you have creativity on your side. Mm-hmm. I think the future is literally going to be divided by that. And we're going to force ourselves to create basically low-skilled jobs to keep people busy. And then in the future, hopefully that's focused on improving the creativity of the human mind, right? Like, let's not force people to flip hamburgers. Let's force people to enjoy a job that's creative. Like, let's let the robots do all the mundane crap that we don't want to do, like flip hamburgers. Let's bring some consistency to the table so we have quality assurance, right? Like, my pet peeve is going through Taco Bell, and every time I go through that dang drive-through, that bean burrito is different. It's never the same. It has either different type of beans in it. I mean, I know they're the same beans, but they're either watered down, or they're too dry, or there's not enough of them, or they don't have enough cheese, or they lack no sauce. I mean, even the full job of the burritos are inconsistent.
We're just not getting our perfect amount of condiments here.
Like, just give me the value for what I purchased, please. And that's what the robotic future is going to provide us. Now, our biggest problem is how we're going to handle wealth, right? Because when you have those with creativity, they're going to have an edge, and in an economy that's driven by automation, they're going to be able to secure higher wage earning capacity because they know how to take advantage of the marketplace. So those that are just learning to be creative, they're not going to have that competitive edge, so they stay stuck in the lower income bracket. And I think we're going to have a real issue, and it might happen soon, right? I think it might even happen before the fully automated robotic revolution takes place. Like, we're going to have this wage gap that's going on. And that problem is just going to get worse if we don't address it sooner than later. Like, if it doesn't happen soon and robotic revolution kicks in and we have this future of creativity being the driver for humankind, could possibly break and be quite scary. People will revolt, riots in the streets, breaking the robots on purpose to demonstrate that they can't take over humankind. I mean, humanity will revolt. If the low wage earner, the 90% of the population is low wage earning, there's going to be some big issues.
I mean, do you feel like, and I'm not trying to get off topic, I feel like it's on the same topic, but do you feel like technology is going to hit like this certain hump to where robots, and then it's just going to take off? It's going to go certainly like really crazy, because once we get this certain amount of knowledge, not that it's not already out there, I have no idea, but I'm just saying, I feel like it's going to hit like this certain hump and then just like really like just take off regardless of what humans start doing.
I do. It's parabolic. And we've seen it every time on any technology that disrupts our workflows. We went through the example of mobile phones. If you look at the adoption curve of mobile phones, specifically smartphones with internet connectivity, there was a period there where people were slow to adopt smartphones, right? It was hard for people to go, yes, this is not just the future. They just didn't see themselves using it on a daily basis. They thought it was ridiculous.
Right.
Now you can't find anybody that would think that way. They're like, oh, foolish me. I should have known. The adoption curve is parabolic. Same thing like with Bitcoin. I'm a proponent for blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies. That too, parabolic. Multiple parabolic cycles. Mm-hmm. And when you go back further and you think of even like the oil revolution with automobiles, once again, parabolic. You go back even further and you think about tooling and the gold rush, and you really want to analyze anything that disrupt our daily life, the way that we transact. Specifically, it's just amazing when you just focus on what a transaction is, human to human, right? We depend on technology to make those transactions. And the automobile was a transaction, at least from my point of view, from a technical point of view. It's like, that really was a transaction. You got an automobile because you want to be part of that revolution to get to work faster, to go ahead and take vacations and come back home safely with your family. You know, you felt left out, so you had to adopt. And that's happened with the mobile phone. And I think that's what's going to happen with cryptocurrencies too. It's like, pretty soon we're going to have electronic currency and there's going to be no paper. And if you have paper money, people won't take it. Be like, what am I going to do with that? You know, well, it's old paper. Well, go take it to the bank and get your credit because I only take electronic currency. Like, and it's hard to think because if I was to walk down right now and interview people and say, hey, I got 10 people in front of me. I go up to them one by one. Would you use an electronic dollar versus paper cash? Would you use that daily? Could you depend on that? They'd probably scratch your head a little bit. And I bet I might get one taker out of the 10. But in the future, probably 5 years from now, it's going to reverse. It'll be 9 out of the 10 that would do it. And it's going to go parabolic.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't it just create, or is that not the same thing? I know it's not the same thing. It's not paper. Now we're talking about, like you said, electronical wallets, stuff like that. But it's still a market. It's still something. Can't it rise? Can it fall? Can't people, we can still have market crashes even with a Bitcoin.
We can. I mean, it's still a transaction, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. When you just stick to the transaction side of things, it makes things so much simpler because you're like, wow, I want something that requires a transaction. And everything we do in life is geared around wanting something. You wake up, you want to go take a shower. You're doing a transaction, right? Because you are paying for utilities. You need to take that water. The city's getting their money for that shower. People are getting employed. You know, oh, maybe you're the one that's off grid. Well, you had to pay for resources to go ahead and get rain from your roof and put it into a catchment system, right? So people are getting employed to make those catchment systems. Like, it goes full circle when you go down the rabbit hole of what a transaction is for our daily life. Like, everything we do is riddled with the transaction. And it kind of sucks because when you think of like how simple humanity was, it was more geared towards like, hey, let's go get some food, let's share it. You didn't really need a transaction there.
Let's trade a fur coat for a.
Oh, that's a transaction. Yeah,
transaction. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you think back then, at the most simplest times, transactions were still required?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, how did we open up trading routes and, became more and more and more, that way of thinking of going, hey, these people have spices that we don't have. And they're coming from over here. Let's open up a trail for them to get over here, and we'll give them their goods, and we'll just trade them back and forth. I mean, I can understand that a lot. I mean, it's just all the pieces of development of who we are today. It's the same thing. It's just a different entity.
Which brings me back to that parabolic growth cycle and what the future looks like, especially if we have the world running with automation and robotics. Folks that are creative are going to have the means to take control of a autonomous economy to create faster transactions that benefit them for greater wealth, where those that lack access due to their intelligence or creativity, whatever the reason is for them not being able to take advantage of this new economy, they're going to suffer. And I think it's going to be large scale. I don't think everybody wants to get into this economy full on and take part of being creative to secure new means of wealth generation. They're going to be like, oh, whoa. I get universal basic income. I don't have to work. Sweet. I'm going to go take a vacation. It's going to be great at first. Like, we're going to have a utopia. Like, everybody's going to go and buy whatever they want. They're going to enjoy life. We're probably going to have like a sweet period of 3 years. Everybody's rocking the universal economy of autonomous robots. And I mean universal because it's going to be across the board. It's not going to be United States. It's going to be Europe. It's going to be
You're pretty
Asia.
positive about this.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
I mean,
okay, it might not come 5 years, but it's coming. Like this, the goal here is to increase the quality of our life, and it will. But when we're in that transitionary period, not everybody is going to be eager to jump on board. People are going to be forced. Like, we are going to see the trucking industry get hit first, right? At least soon.
and what do you mean?
Well, autonomous driving. Like, they're going to be out there, you're going to have autonomous driving. They're trying to figure out ways to secure the position for truck drivers by being creative. One idea that's being tossed around is like, let's have the truck drivers drive a truck, and then we'll have 2 autonomous vehicles behind them. So that way the human that's in control of the autonomous vehicle, that's the leader, gets to lead the pack of autonomous vehicles. So when the human wants to pull over, take a break, the autonomous vehicles all follow the human, they take a break too.
Or they just at least travel with the truck and are helping out with the responsibility of the vehicle, food routes, and things like that. I mean,
exactly. But the fact is, there's 3 trucks to 1 human before there was 3 humans to 3 trucks. And so there's going to be job loss, and there's going to be some political issues around that.
So yeah, that's always been a thing that I've thought about in technology. When we start getting into, for sure, AI robots, I've always thought to myself, well, that's just, if robots are taking over our jobs and we don't have to do them anymore, well, then our job's taking care of the robot. In all reality, it creates a ton more jobs. But if there's so much AI going on, there's going to be a lot of requests to keep the upkeep on the robots and make more robots, and just more and more technology getting pushed on humans, how it's actually probably going to end up creating more and more jobs. The more and more I thought about it, the more and more that made sense to me.
Yeah, so let's just go down the rabbit hole. The truck industry example with 1 human driver and 2 autonomous trucks behind him, right? Him or her, right?
Right.
So you have a total of 3 trucks. Now, we already concluded that before the adoption of that technology, there was 3 trucks and 3 truck drivers. So there's 3 jobs for the truck drivers. They still had to maintain the trucks. They had to drive the trucks. Full responsibility was on the truck driver. Mm-hmm. They honked the horn. They turned the steering wheel, put it in gear, right? And start the engines like that. They took on the full 100% responsibility from point A to point B.
Yeah, but including all safety.
Yeah, now it's autonomous. We haven't got to a safety part, but now it's autonomous, right? We're fast forwarding in the potential future, which I think is sooner than most people think. But you have 1 truck driver, 2 autonomous vehicles behind. Now that 1 truck driver, responsibilities totally shift, right? So 2 truck drivers lost their jobs. 1 truck driver gained to stay gainfully employed. Now has new response. They're not driving the truck like they used to. They just type in the computer, accept the work order, the truck goes. Right? Their thing is, truck's going to respond, most likely say, hey, time for a break. All the truck driver's doing is confirming the autonomous vehicle is doing what it needs to do. If there's any issues, manually take control. And here's where I think it's going to get difficult. There's going to be accidents. And then the truck drivers are going to blame the autonomous driving vehicles. This is going to go into Congress. There's going to be politics going on. It's going to be quite the argument, right? And then they're going to find out that the truck driver lied. Nope, autonomous vehicles are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're focusing on the objective of going from point A to point B. What happened is the truck driver spilt the drink, knocked the steering wheel, went off the cliff, right? Like, I know I'm going drastic with the examples, but theoretically, they have manual override. They're going to cause the accident, most likely. And so this is going to float to the top. All truck drivers are getting pissed because they're like, shoot, we're being monitored. We have no creative freedom. We're stuck taking care of these autonomous vehicles. So then there's going to be a shortage of truck drivers because all the old school truck drivers are like, I want to be in control. So now they're stuck. The industry's stuck trying to recruit new generation of truck drivers that want to take charge of this revolution of autonomous driving. So they're going to set up probably custom truck schools, right? Where they're going to train folks to handle autonomous vehicles, let them know that if they're going to take manual control, a log's going to pop up and you need to explain why you took manual control. Don't do it because you're going to have to write a report every time you take manual control. You only do it for an emergency. Mm-hmm. And so people are going to react to this and it will shift. So, I mean, sure, we went through initially as, hey, there was 3 truck drivers 2 of them lost their jobs, 1 went on there. But the truth is there's more job loss than that because you're going to have a lot of truck drivers that don't want to be part of this revolution. They want it back the way it was. They're old schools.
Well, I'll tell you what, delivery times are going to improve by a lot because
Oh,
a robot
man.
does not have to stop, does it?
No, I know. Consumers are going to love it. Consumers are going to love it.
Consumers are going to love it.
Yeah.
Amazon, 24 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
But here's what I think is super cool. It's going to take that, and I think you rinse and repeat that example across any industry. It's going to be the same thing. We've already seen it with Amazon warehouses, right? You go into an Amazon warehouse, it's mostly run by robots.
Mm-hmm.
So humans are there for quality control and safety to make sure everything's working. The robots are doing what they're supposed to do. You gave me an example of McDonald's. It's the same thing. So now humans are being a little bit more creative with their job role. All the mundane tasks are being put off to the robotics, which is wonderful. So as we increase the autonomous robotic revolution in conjunction with artificial intelligence, we're going to get greater safety, more creativity with job roles, and faster commerce. Like your consumer is going to love, the quality service for the products they're buying. Everything's exactly the way it's supposed to be. When they purchase something, they got exactly what they want. Like a McDonald's hamburger. I bet you the robotic hamburger maker probably makes a better looking hamburger than the one you get through the manual way, right? Like maybe it looks like the poster. I don't know. Did it? Like, did you order something from the autonomous hamburger making machine at McDonald's?
I guess for one thing there is to say about that, when you hire an employee and he's gung-ho for the first week and he's making that burger perfect every single time for a week, and then he starts slacking on quality control, well, the robot's going to give you the same delivery every single time.
Every time.
Well, I mean, there's that to say for it. That there's no doubt about it. But the good thing is about, I think, honestly, the technology side about it is no matter what, we're like probably one of the most adaptive creatures there is out there. So I think we're going to end up doing just fine. I mean, ultimately. I mean, we are the ones that are creating it.
That's awesome that you feel that way, especially coming from a, non-tech background. Like you're slow to adopt technology. So for you to acknowledge this is a huge move forward. And I think other people in a similar position as you probably think a similar way.
Just not being sure. I mean, being born in 88, watching from the 90s what we've had and then what we've become even in 10 years span is crazy. So we're definitely in that age where it's like, whoa, what the heck's that? What is this? Oh, look at this new, when you were first able to touch a phone on a screen and close a call or open up the internet. I mean, we're that generation. So, yeah. But I think the more and more, now these kids are being born like, yeah, give me an iPhone by the age of 3.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's almost required now. Like, why doesn't your child have an iPhone or an Android device? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Why are you depriving your child? CPS is at the door.
Right.
Hey, here's an iPad. Here's an Android tablet. You better give them one of them. No, I don't. I don't think it's going to be that way.
And so yeah, right. But being a young kid, even a baby, if you start seeing things, you start seeing technologies, it's not going to be weird to you. But as growing up, you start seeing weird things. It's just the unknown. You're like, what? This is crazy. Human beings are starting to do this. Mm-hmm. But now it's just it's a continuing growing development. So it's not surprising anymore.
No. No. To circle on it and conclude our session here, I think that what's really going to make the difference is the education cycle. And what I mean by that is you have this predictive future right now of autonomous driving vehicles, robotics, artificial intelligence shaping the way that, commerce is taking place across the globe. We're going to have to get creative for job roles. And what I would like to mention is that education might actually go reverse. You don't need a 4-year degree at minimum to gain access to a job. What you need is a trade school that teaches you a specific vertical that you are creative in, right? Like if you're into music, then all you do is go to a trade school that focuses on exactly what you want to do in music, not on music theory and the fundamentals of what happened in 80s, 1990s. You don't have to go back to the whole history of music. What you need to do is just adapt for what's now and be creative with it. Let's give us all the tooling now as fast as possible so we can just explore the creative mindset of what it's like to generate music. I think that is a pretty cool future. Instead of having to be tasked with all this focus on educational requirements on things that you're not interested in, now we get to focus on what we're interested in. What's even more crazy is to think of a future where we want to take away technology from the education. Instead of having children have that iPad or Android device, let's take it away and give them a paper and pencil. Let's show them what it's like to have life without technology. Let's let the autonomous robots, the AI revolution, handle all the tasks for the future. And let's let our children enjoy what it's like to be creative manually. And then they can choose to adapt technology based on their creativity that they generate.
Well, I think freedom of choice is absolutely probably one of the best routes to go. I mean, with any person that you love or care about, give them freedom of choice first.
Excellent.
But yeah.
Well said. Freedom of choice. Yeah. See? We're always going back to the basics.
Right.
No matter how creative it is.
That's right.
Well, cheers. Cheers. What a great conversation. Thank you so much
Thank
for joining me during this podcast.